Citizens speak out as people continue pressing for improved living conditions and human rights for themselves and fellow countrypersons. They gather in squares and march in the streets of nations like Egypt, Colombia, Libya, Syria, and Yemen.
Egypt. Among indications that the current military rulers are attempting to create a central role for themselves in a future government, thousands of protesters arrived in Tahrir Square on Friday, July 22, where they demanded a faster shift to democratic civilian rule. They also continued pressing for the resignation of certain cabinet officials, including Justice Minister Abdel Aziz al-Gindi, whom protesters say is responsible for delaying trials of officials from the former regime.
Colombia. Over 5,000 indigenous peoples from 9 tribes in the town of Toribio gathered in protest of a plan announced by President Juan Manuel Santos to install more troops in the region, as they demanded that both the government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC group, respect international human rights and remove bases and camps from indigenous lands.
Syria. The head of the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Rami Abdel Rahman, told Agence France Presse that over 1.2 million citizens throughout Syria marched in protests on Friday, with the death toll rising to at least 11 people. These include 5 killed overnight in Homs when security forces in tanks arrived to stop protests there, and 6 shot later in other areas as many rallies against the government took place despite the extensive crackdown. 2 UN officials on Friday made a joint statement expressing alarm at the possibility of Syrian security forces committing crimes against humanity and urged an independent investigation of the crackdown. Meanwhile, the French and British foreign ministries also spoke out Friday against the army's brutal violence, especially in Homs, saying that the government must instead listen to and protect fellow citizens.
Yemen. Tens of thousands of Yemeni citizens across the country rallied in the streets Friday, protesting shortages of water, fuel, and electricity, as they also renewed calls for the resignation of President Ali Abdullah Saleh, who is still in a Saudi hospital recovering from injuries sustained in the June 3rd attack on his presidential palace. Meanwhile, in southern Taiz, a young girl and her mother were killed, with a brother left wounded as government forces clashed with pro-activist tribesmen.
As we mourn the loss of precious life and are saddened by the injured and suffering, we pray for the turmoil in all nations to completely subside, and that people everywhere may decide to live in shared safety, freedom, and peace.